we're going to be joined today for just a minute. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. This is the first time, ladies and gentlemen, this has ever happened on the history of this channel, which is a craven mistake on my part, which is going to be rectified immediately. Folks, give it up.
Thank you for having me. Holy crap. I'm breaching the wall. I can't believe I crossed over.
It's happening. You are now in the Comic Pop sphere. We are so thankful and grateful to have you. Everybody, Geoffrey Thorne here, writer of the most recently completed X-Force series. Man, this is just like coming home, man. It's so great to have you here on the show finally. And this is the first time you and I have actually interacted with our voices.
No, I wanted to come to the con you guys went to, and I didn't make it down. I would have absolutely taken you to dinner, and absolutely will at some point.
Definitely, we are definitely going to do that at some point. Whichever convention we can make that happen, and I would be.
ComicPop, woo!
That's right. Thank you, sir. Geoffrey Thorne, woo.
I love your freaking show. I discovered you accidentally, and
that's how it works, man.
Yeah, I didn't know it existed. Then I had the same way I discovered Critical Role, almost the same week, and then I had years of content to catch up with, and I was like, this is hysterical. Like, but I think the vibe for me is that, like, I don't go to comic book shops anymore. And there was a period of time when I would go, and we were the Wednesday night club, and there were about 10 of us, and we're ranging in ages from young 20s to 40s. And we would just like, can Thor beat the Hulk? You know, which team of Avengers versus which Justice League team? Not only who would win, but which would be the better fight? Like, which would be a real fight? Yeah, like these kind of things. And for various reasons, partly aging, I just don't do that anymore. And to see you guys, the four of you on the couch, and the sort of rampant East Coast sarcasm that I miss with you and Tiffany are deconstructing something. And it's just a delight. I love it.
It's so humbling to hear that from you, sir. Thank you so much. And you've been such a booster of ours for what feels like years. I think it's definitely been years, because
at least a couple of years now.
Yeah. Well, we found out that you had been watching us because of an episode of Letters Page, a show that woefully hasn't been returned to in a while. And that's all on me, folks. I screwed up. What happened was, the most recent episode that we shot, I lost the footage, and I felt so bad about like how the good people that sent us something, like our good friends over on in Sweden, I want to say, send us a Christmas package every year, and we lost the footage for that, and I feel horrible about it, and I have no way to tell Lizette I'm sorry. So I was just like, well, I'll just never do another episode of that show again, which is not the way to do things. But yeah, you sent us a letter. You sent us an autographed copy of Green Lanterns, and also a hand-drawn doodle of John Stewart. It's on the wall. It's in the library. We keep that letter enshrined. Awesome. The book is not. The book is in our autograph box.
Listen, I appreciate that you guys steered clear of the controversy surrounding that book. Like,
we tried. Yeah. Well, it was easy. I mean, like, it looked like a fun, genuine, joyful book. I have the trade as per your recommendation. I did pick up the trade, and I will admit I have not finished it. And not because I hate it or anything. It's literally just because I read the first issue or two when it launched, and then I was just like, something had to give, and I waited. I will read the whole thing cover to cover. When I do, I want to read it all, as opposed to.
Yeah, and it works best in the book form. It works best in that way. That was the first time I never pitch these giant things. I always pitch a miniseries. I literally have never pitched an ongoing book out. Right. And then this sort of evolved into that thing. And the way I approached it was basically like I was writing a sci-fi novel, which in retrospect, maybe too much. Right. Maybe too much of too heavy in some ways. But, what the hell,
You got to go for broke. You got to try it all, right? I mean, and with Green Lantern, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You got to swing for the fences. I mean, Scott always talks about how he's like, well, I take every swing. Yeah, could I write a little story about Mr. Freeze? Sure. But what I really need to do is take the biggest swings possible. It's like, you know what? Everybody,
try it. You got to try it. And and its level of difficulty versus ability to execute. And does the audience give a crap?
All right.
I mean, you can't. I think 100% of writers, whether we're all aligned in one way or another, will agree we can't control what the audience is going to dig or not. And you can't worry about it. You've just got to keep trudge along. And I would tell the younger writers, head down, keep writing. By the way, Terminator 2!
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you dug it, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you even deigning to pick up one issue, let alone 5.
I love that I love the way that it's a Middle Eastern setting. The overall tone was just, I honestly felt that the way it was displayed hampered it. It's best to just read it straight through. But I've been a victim of that as well, and it is what it is. So now that it's complete, everybody should just just read it because it works. It's great.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Good dialogue, crispy story, just very good work.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I tried really hard to keep it. I didn't want to be one of those new writers who just filled the page with dialogue, especially because I was like, I don't know how many passes I'm going to get on this, so I just wanted to kind of keep it. Just let the art, especially once I was teamed up with Colin, I was like, you know what, just let him draw.
Good work. It's good work. It's just good work all around. Are you going to stick with it? Are you in the arena for good? Are you going to see it?
I mean, I would love to stay. It's not up to me.
Well, that's true, but I mean,
in part, it's up to me. It's my job to lose, and but I did have that. The job was only that small window,
right,
where it leads.
But theoretically, at Dynamite, they have IPs that they have some control over, and you.
Oh yeah. We talked a little bit about it. There've been conversations. Let's say I don't want to speak out of turn, but I have chatted with the editor and the editor in chief about other ideas, and they've asked do you have any other ideas? And I said yes, and we've just been kind of going back and forth about pitching and whether and when it's the right time. Like you said, timing is so important in comics when it comes to whether a picture will be approved, whether a book will hit the audience, and whether a hit book will resonate, because the right audience might not even be there until a year or so later, or maybe they'll make a big budget adaptation of that book, and then suddenly people will care about it again. You never know.
Yeah, or a character will blow up, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Holy crap! This is their first appearance, and they lasted a year in Spider-Man." But I was reading Spider-Man. Now I gotta go. That's partly the fun too.
Exactly.
That's part of the fun. So, I mean, speaking of Spider-Man, poor Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, he's
the part keeping it to you.
Yeah, he's having a hard time. He's having a hard go of it, but it's one of those things where I understand the character has had 70 years of history. There's a great opportunity for people to catch up. I missed a lot of books. I didn't read a lot of Web of Spider-Man back in the day, so maybe I'll just go read that.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I certainly want everyone to run and go into those back issue bins. I lived in the back issue bin. It's not like I'm old enough to remember the original Spirit or Commandy 2 or something like that. But once I discover a certain character, a certain illustrator, a certain writer, and they've had a long career, I was living. I would take a whole Saturday and just be in the back issue bins. Oh my God, first issue special starring Atlas. It's never been heard of again, but Kirby did it, and I'm like, I'm here for this. So I want that. Yes, absolutely. But man, your affection for Spider-Man and your perpetual
disappointment. Yeah.
Disgruntled disappointment is just delightful.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, man. I thought it would be fun. I would love to pitch it. I hate to do this, but I'd love to pitch him and allow Tiffany to switch out with me so she can chat with you a little bit about X-Force. No, she's okay. She's under. She took him. I gave her an opportunity to do something, and so she's actually she's got boxes.
Anytime you want. Look,
we'll have her next time.
I'm so happy. Yeah.
But yeah, well, so congratulations on X-Force being so critically well received and getting to this point where you kind of kept the torch burning a little bit for Krakoa.
Well, here's the horrible thing. And I feel like From the Ashes overall, I think, no matter who was doing it, no matter what was done with it, suffers from Age of Ultron syndrome, right?
Oh.
Like, if Age of Ultron had come out instead of the Avengers, if the big villain of Avengers had been the Age of Ultron story, then everyone would have reacted to that the way they reacted to Avengers 1. But because Avengers 1 was like, holy crap, look what's happening, the number 2 was never going to hit that. No matter what they did, it could have been the greatest thing ever. I feel like this is a period of time after a very significant, huge swing for the fences. It had its ups and downs. There's certainly aspects of the Krakoa era that I absolutely like. What are you guys doing? And then there's other aspects I was like, holy crap, where have you been all my life?
Right.
And that's every era, but this one was a clean 5 years of just like, and then to go away from that, I think it hampers whoever comes next. My particular story was not even meant to be X-Force. That was the editorial coming and saying, hey, that little Forge book you want to do? I was like, yeah, I'm trying to come up with a title for it because I couldn't come up with a title. Of course, now I have the title. Now I think of the title. But they're like, could it be X-Force? And I was like, I mean, not in its exact form, but sure. It's kind of got a Mission Impossible kind of thing going on. My original pitch was Journey to the Mystery, but that's not an X title. So
yeah. And I don't know how that works. I could imagine someone being like, well, technically Journey to Mystery is a Thor type book. And so the Thor editor would have to approve that. Like, it's not the same family of books.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that, I think. And also it's not a sexy title. And if you got an X book, it's either the name of the character or some sort of pun on the letter X.
Right. Yes. So, that's true. Yeah. If it was, you said you had a title. Are you hanging on to that for a future idea?
Well, all right. Here's the deal. I'll break this with you because I love you guys. I have a couple of pitches in.
Great.
Based on some of the characters. I have a Colossus pitch in, which I did not know I loved Peter until this whole tank nonsense. Okay. I have a Sage pitch. I have a Betsy Braddock pitch. The Betsy Braddock pitch is essentially what I would have done for the second arc for X-Force, but it's a pivot because it would be a different set of characters except Betsy. So the events are same, but the plot's different, I guess, would be the.
I hear you.
So, I mean, Mutant X would be the book, right? It didn't occur to me until well after the fact, but Forge and Sage sort of wandering around having planetary style adventures. And then you would bring in random characters, mostly mutants because the Office prefers that.
Sure.
But different kind of characters. And it would have been, the initial pitch was Hellblazer meets Planetary.
Oh.
And that would have been my nice little, right? Like, who doesn't want that? But,
yeah.
But I feel like Marvel, maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't. I feel like essentially Marvel Universe for comic book superhero comics is essentially a science fiction universe with some magical elements.
Yeah.
And I feel like the DC universe is essentially a fantasy universe with some sci-fi elements in it. And so you can't really do John Constantine in Marvel because it doesn't have a rich enough magical underpinning. Like, they still don't really do it. Like, Doctor Strange doesn't really ever get a full foothold whenever they try to run it. I mean, there's some great things, but it doesn't really stick. So Forge, I was trying to set up to be the Marvel Universe's version of John Constantine. That sort of bastardy. He's a good guy, but some of his team may die, and he won't care.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't get that. That's great. I like that. I can imagine Tivity being excited to hear that. That's funny.
Well, almost half of the books I pitch in these people are always like, "This is a Vertigo pitch." And I'm not kidding. And they're like, "Oh, that sounds great." And by the time the audience sees it, it's like, so not that.
Right. I love that, man. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that was basically the plan. And then it got expanded out to X-Force. And X-Force is, whether I like the murder aspect, I never liked kill squads personally, but it still has to be somewhat run and gun, right? It could just be these sort of mysteries and introspective and all that. It had to have stuff going on. So that's why we got all this nonsense. And certain things would have been fleshed out a bit. If I'd had the final 5 issues and no crossover to do.
Yeah. I won't even go there. I don't want to put anyone in any hot water. But yeah, the crossover thing, people forget. Even Beta Ray Bill was I think the first issue was a King in Black crossover.
Holy crap, you're right. That is
so it's like, there's a precedent for that. I mean, they get around it.
I didn't mind the crossover. Like, one of the fun things, I've never been in an office like this. With the X office, they had a Slack for Krakoa, and I guess we have a Discord. Same basic principle.
Yeah, same.
And we were all up in each other's biz, man. Like, I had got it. I knew what was coming. We knew that X-Men was coming. I just didn't know when. So the original 5 issues of X-Force, I drive defensively, let's say. I felt like I got burnt. I felt like I got burned on Mosaic because the character was pitched to not be part of this sort of ongoing mishigas that was going on with the Indian. So this very specifically, Ray over here, his personality was he was kind of a dick. He had no loyalty to these people, so there's no reason for him to join their fight.
Yeah.
Right? And then 2 of the writers of the main Inhuman, X-Men, whatever thing were like, where's Cars?
Right.
Where he isn't. And I'm like, he wouldn't say yes to this. He would tell them to experiment himself. He does not care about it. Bad reasoning. And so they did stuff with the character that his powers actually did not do. So people who were reading the book were like, since when can he do this? And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? And then I would go read it. I'm like, oh crap. No, he can't do any of that. So that derailed the book because I had to then write at least one issue explaining No Prize style why that was okay, why that wasn't a mistake, and it just derailed the book, whatever. So now I write defensively. I'm like, okay, my guys are going to be way over here. We're going to be underground fighting deviants. I don't know what you all are doing. Right? You can undo Sentinels and your whole Magneto. We're going to be down here fighting deviants. 6 months while all that is happening.
Yeah. Yeah. There'll be no opportunity for them to bleed over. So it can really be your own world.
Keep reading, Jeff. That's not how it works.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So like, you're going to cross over. So just buckle up, son. Luckily, the team had split where we had this ongoing fight and Sage was off by herself. Technically, she had quit. So she could be the focus of the book she was going to be the focus of anyway. All right, I just sort of deviated in order for the X-Men. But yeah, over the 5 issues, you would have got a lot more. We got the Colossus reveal later. We would have had Surge would have been what do you call it? Sightings in a way, but it would basically be the way we would have shown it to the audience was it would have been people in grief about her. Did they hallucinate seeing her, or was she trying to come back in some way? We were going to do something with the NYX guys because a lot of them were from the X-Men Academy. A lot of those characters were in Sage's class. Right. Right. So we were going to do all that, and then she would ultimately come back similarly to the way she did in the last issue, but with more build-up. Sure. And we were going to introduce a character called Gladius, who was he was the Darth Vader of Moses Magnum. La Diabla was like the number 3, possibly girlfriend of Moses Magnum. Gladius was like, go kill those people, and Gladius would come and murder the hell out.
Gotcha.
And we just didn't have space for it. There's no way to explain Gladius, but that's where the Colossus reveal is going to come from.
Oh, cool.
Gladius's ability was essentially to mimic the mutant powers that were near him. Mm-hmm. And at some point he starts mimicking a person who's not present.
Yeah.
And they're like, how is this happening? Right. So that didn't happen. Moses Magnum pulled out of mothballs because why not?
Oh, sure. That's the fun of it. I mean, I imagine that's the fun of like playing in the Marvel universe or the DC universe for that matter, but big 2 universes is being like, let's dust off a character that no one's seen in a long time and give them a new life.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the thing I tried to get at least a little bit, the one carryover from the miniseries, the original pitch was Marvel Comics didn't start with Fantastic Four 1 or Amazing Fantasy. it was already Marvel Comics. They just changed what they were making. So prior to that, it was monster, romance, and Western comics. And I was like, so what happened to all that? Right? What about those people that ripped up, Chicago, or that volcano that turned its alien invasion? Did that not happen anymore, or did it happen?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. And it's like, no one's thought about that because everyone was so focused and deep, that, and delighted by the fantastical superhero stuff. But it's like,
Sure.
that's a universe. I never thought about the universe actually having existed. I know that Marvel existed, but I didn't imagine the universe existed as it was before all that. But
it doesn't fit. It doesn't truly fit. But what I feel like from a writing point of view is
there's a lot of stuff there to be lifted out if you want. Like a lot of it doesn't. Like you can't have the Skrulls and these other guys.
Yeah.
Even this guy, the Rampage, is basically, it was like this Stan and Jack thinking about one day making the Hulk. It's right. It's almost identical. Right. So, but it was just fun. And
making La Diabla, she's not Diablo's kid or anything, but I had a whole backstory for her where basically she found Diablo's notebooks and it just blew her mind. And now she's the sequel. But right. And so just characters like that. And it makes it more rich. The locations we went to, just weird references. The X-Sentinels only appeared in 2 issues back in 1977.
Oh, cool.
Right. And it's just a reminder that there's a lot more going on here. And I miss the editor's notes.
Right. Go look at this issue of such and such, because awesome book. Right. So like that. It was just that kind of book. That's all it was meant to do. Just one.
Yeah, well, and it was, and I think it will be sorely missed. But I hope it's not. I mean, certainly I'd love to see you play in the X world some more. But doesn't matter to me. Whatever you got, so we got some. You got some irons in the fire, and
I do. But I also feel like this next round will be the last one.
Like the biggest for Marvel. I'm not going to knock the comics, but I'm going to probably swing back into indie world. The only reason is that
it's a hard juggle. It's a hard lift to do that and do the other job. And the other job takes up a good deal of brain space. And you don't want to give the comics, you don't want to give them, a short.
Right. It's you agreed to do this, your name's on it. You still have to treat it exactly the same way as if someone was paying you, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and Tom Cruise is your lead or something. We have to act like that's what's happening, or at least I do. And at some point, it's just a lot.
And I'm not even writing X-Men. X-Force was a lot. Can you imagine if you were writing one of the X-Men books?
Oh, yeah.
No. Oh, dear God.
No. So, but yeah, I got those pitches, and there's some things I pitched that I know will never go.
I had a Brother Voodoo pitch. I definitely wanted to do. I had a whole thing with Ronin, where somebody steals the Ronin armor and forms their own little team to sort of right the wrongs that the heroes don't right.
Yeah.
Like I had this whole thing with Collateral Damage. I wanted to do here's my Spider-Man pitch. So
okay. Yep.
Okay. Which will never happen.
Okay.
So
never say never. You never know, man. I mean, I know that you're gonna move on.
It'll never happen. No, it'll never happen. I'm also telling you because you'll appreciate it. There's all this obvious controversy, the whole the one more day, and this thing with Paul, and all, right? Oh yeah. I kind of see what the company would like it to be, but I think they're missing a trick.
Peter's life. Peter is not a sad sack. Peter is a person who's a normal guy trying to juggle adventuring with normal life.
That is the actual hook. When he was in high school, he was the nerdy guy. So it comes off as, oh, he's always getting kicked by life. But in fact, Peter is kind of a jerk in high school.
Right.
So like he was not a victim geek. He was I'll put some sort of acid in your locker geek. Like you mess with me. Yeah, I will hit you back in some.
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. So by the time he gets to college, the natural evolution was, grew into himself. He's rooming with Harry. All the stuff's going on. He's got multiple potential love interests. He's going to class and still trying to juggle. So it's really the juggling part that grounds him. It's not that he loses all the time. I don't know where that came from. And I think him getting married to MJ was a huge event, and it seemed natural and it worked. And I think all of us were very much in favor of it. I'm also in confusion of why that needed to go away. I also loved Mayday in the M2 universe. I loved all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So take that as the premise.
And my feelings, the canon is the canon. It doesn't matter whether I like it or not. Once it's real, right? So they also screwed up my favorite character, the Prowler. So they gave him this company. So Fairgrave. And I thought, okay, so he's running this company, and they'd asked me to come in and do something with the Prowler, or with the character. He's not the Prowler anymore. So I did. And basically what I said was, and this goes to what I was talking about with collateral damage. So we have damage control, and they show up and they fix the buildings and they take away the alien.
Like all the runoff. If Spider-Man destroys Shocker's vibro gauntlets, damage control has a locker for them. Yeah.
Exactly that. But they never have ever done a story about the follow-up of the victims. No one has ever done a story about, when the Goblin Queen takes over Manhattan and magically is transforming a bookshop into a demon's mouth or something. And then it's all over. Well, what happened to those folks?
Yeah.
So Hobie, the Prowler, his company basically uses the crowdfunding front face to go, wait a minute, why are you crowdfunding? You're crowdfunding because the Skrulls took over your town, and everything's screwed, or the Great Gargoyle turned everyone in your college, or half the people in your little college, to stone, and no one did anything about it, right? And I know, because of all my connections in the superhero world, I might know somebody,
sure,
who can fix this.
Yeah.
Right. So that's Hobie. His best friend, or one of his best friends, is Peter Parker, whose personal life has been beating the crap kicked out of him. Right. You can't hold out a girlfriend. You can't get anything straight. So I picture Hobie and his wife Mindy being that married couple. It's like, what are we going to do about Pete? So they're like the well-meaning, sometimes irritating, but they love you couple. And they know his secret identity. So they come to Peter, and the way it would be told is while he's fighting one of his class's villains, and it's a really bad fight, you're intercutting with sort of a dinner. They take him to dinner, or he comes to their house for dinner, and they're like, this is an intervention. Here's what I got for you. You've been rambling around, it's been doing all this stuff. You were up, you were down, you had your own company, and now you're back on the street again, and you just seem so aimless, buddy. You just seem so aimless. So here's what I'm going to do for you. You're going to come and work for Fairgrave. And what you're going to do at Fairgrave is you're going to be our on-the-spot photographer. Mm-hmm. And because of your biochemistry background, occasionally we'll ask you to do analysis. But because I know you're Spider-Man, you never have to worry about missing work.
Right.
All you have to do is be missing. And I'll go, oh, shit, Peter is in trouble.
Spider-Man
help. Right. You got Spider-Man stuff to do. Cover it. Plus, here's a whole slew of, now in my case, they wouldn't be brand new characters. I would literally pick obscure characters
from across the pantheon, of course. Yeah.
Right. Who are part of Peter's sort of department, who all do different things. Some of them would be a love interest, possibly. We don't know. Some are cute, who's smart, and he finds attractive, whatever. Other people would find him irritating because he's the boss's friend, and how did he get this job? All of that kind of crap that you would get. The same way in high school, the same way in college, and now he's in late 20s, early 30s. I'm the new guy at this company.
Yeah.
Right? Same kind of crap, except Paul and MJ break up. He doesn't know because he's like, all right, I need to be hands off with that.
Exactly.
Right. I need to completely stay out of that. It only hurts me, and it's making her life more complex.
Right. So I'm going full no contact.
No contact. She doesn't need me in that. Go. But unbeknownst to him and unbeknownst to the fans, we don't even know this has happened. They're doing something. It's a party, or he's at some whatever. And she knows he's Spider-Man, obviously. So he pulls her out of something, and he's like, well, I'll get you home or whatever. She's, I don't. It didn't go. It just didn't go.
Yeah.
We're friendly, but I needed to be on my own and do my own life or whatever. And so you can slowly segue him back into maybe dating
MJ if she wants to. Plus, they have all this baggage to work through. So there's a lot of emotionality, the soap opera stuff that people like. They don't get married again. And he has other people to date, but MJ's in the mix. And, you know, guys like you and me, be like, well, we know he's ending up with freaking MJ.
Right. At the end.
But
Which
at
get
the
it right.
end,
right, but he'll get there. And he loves her. That's the thing. I think people forget.
it's a true love situation.
Yeah.
So no matter what happens, she's the girl that he will drop everything and go rescue, no matter what. He would leave his own wedding to go rescue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the Lois Lane effect. It's the one thing you can't help.
Right. So that would be me. I would set that up. It would take about 10 issues.
And then I screw off and go off to do whatever the hell else I'm doing.
Right.
But that gets
Set it up.
Right. And it gives you everything you need because it gives him a new venue. It gives him a job. He still has to protect his secret identity. He's going to have enemies.
Right. Both old and new. Right. Fairgray can get in its own kind. Oh, and by the way, they have their own personal Matt Murdock in the body of Hobie's wife, Mindy, who's a high power lawyer.
Oh,
right. Right. So all of this stuff, it's story engines.
Exactly. That's you're hitting on something that is so fundamental that like most folk don't think about. When I say most folk, I mean fans, but also some folk within the industry where it's like, you're creating an engine that is supposed to continue to run after you've given away the keys, and that is the thing that they're always tapping into. Like everyone thinks it's like cosmetic. It's like change his costume or when it comes to any character, like change something that is visually output we can get a variant cover out of, and maybe that'll get us like back to where we were, or make things like the thing I read as a kid. And it's like, even then you're not touching on the thing that you actually want. The thing you want is the feeling you get when you're reading a new comic book.
That's it. Exactly that. And that's part of why I love your freaking show.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I love all of your panoply of shows for that exact reason. Even when you're mocking the thing, like let's just say, what was it? The blood hunt or
Bloodlines.
Yeah. Bloodlines. Mock away, my friend. We mocked that as it was happening. It's that. What are you doing? Well, yeah. The thing is, even with that, there is a sort of joyfulness to. There's still fun in here. There's still like, this is very silly, and these guys are being dumb about it, and here are the reasons why we think they did it, and all that kind of conversation is literally fan conversation. I am a fan of this, and it makes me feel good to talk to other fans in this way about this. Right? So I'm looking at it going, no, he's not wrong. And your fascination, what is it? Tempest Buchanan?
I love Tempest Buchanan. He's so stupid. I know. We've talked about this offline, but yes, the Tempest Buchanan of it all, because but Tempest factors into the bloodlines of the 2001 AD era, not 2001 AD. That's a publisher. Armageddon 2001. I always get those two. Right. Fine. But this thing where it's like, you did that. You can't undo it. Like, don't pretend like it didn't happen. And I love just the fun of it, where it's like, if anyone was to go back and go like, oh, I'm going to pick up a relatively obscure period of DC's history, and they're going to see a lot of this very complicated looking character, and he seems like he's really important. And then let's say that you find it intriguing and you go into the dark multiverse and you read all the stories about how he's collecting a Justice League, and you're like, did he ever get to do that? I heard there was a Dark Crisis. No, they didn't do anything like that. It wasn't even little bit.
Nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with that. It's a completely different thing. And they're like, oh, that's too bad. Like, is it? Was it too bad?
Can we just not let this stop?
Yeah, like, bring it back, do something with it. But it's like, that's the fun of comics, is that like eventually all roads lead to Rome. We can get back to that. We can always finish that story. It might not be what they originally.
Some 11-year-old. Let's hope they're 11-year-olds still reading these comics. Please stop. The 11-year-olds reading these comics is going to discover that and go, oh, well, this is how he should have worked. And then in 20 years, we're going to be old men. I may be dead. You'll be an old man, and or almost an old man. And you'll be like, what the hell? Tempest Buchanan magazine?
Yeah, I'll be like,
what the hell?
Oh, yeah. No, someone in
charge. And then it's good. It'll be great. Someone will, right? That's what you want. You want these little, like the Winter Soldier is a perfect example of that phenomenon. Bucky was one of the two characters, and the Waynes, right, who must stay dead no matter what.
Yep.
Right? Really?
Right? Do we, unless we have a really good story, and even then, like, I think that that caveat has only really existed over the last 25 years, or maybe 35, or
Yeah.
maybe 30 if we're being very generous. But like this caveat of like, unless it's a great story. Because I've heard interesting stories or conjecture. I remember when I was getting back into comics, and I was reading when Joe Quesada took over editorial at Marvel, and Wolverine Origin was coming out, or at least being developed. I know a lot of people have a real problem with that, and I understand the story that was put out, the story of like the movie's going to do it. We need to do it first, so we need to make it comic centric, and we're going to get these people. And like, look, you put a Kubert on the book, it's going to be great looking. It's no denial. But when it comes to that thing, there's this kind of purity of spirit that I really admired, and I always kind of gave props to Joey Q for, which was this idea of like, no, like, we are Marvel Comics. The movie is going to do their own thing, but like, if they're going to, they're never going to come up with something. Like, it always has to be coming from us. I heard that was not as pure or as true as original. Like many myths, it has a kernel of truth that eventually went another that eventually became this kind of like mythic story.
Oh my God, there's such a TED talk about all this that had nothing to do with the creative side and only to do with how
the business
is structured. But they should, I think the corner that DC Comics has turned with its absolute and all-in initiative thing that they're doing is they finally realize just have freaking fun making these comics.
Right.
Like, just make some freaking comic books. It's not rocket science.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't have to be this giant crazy thing. How about just Wonder Woman fighting some monsters?
Can we do that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. It's true. It doesn't have to be like alchemy or even, geometry. We just need to like have fun, and it's kind of like have a why not attitude of the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think
Convince
the
me
Marvel
or not,
I think the divisions of Marvel.
Well, this is just me. Just my opinion. Is not insider information, folks. Do not front your local whoever
And say Geoff Thorne broke the news. There's no news. Okay.
Yes.
But the way these companies are structured, the movie guys, the TV and movie guys, they would think of it would be a tail wagging the dog situation if the pure creativity was centered in the comics.
Right. There's nobody making a movie that's going to go, well, Peter David wrote in Hulk 187
that the Professor Hulk thinks this way about, but we want to do this with the current Hulk that we're doing in movies. So we're going to be doing that. And I don't know who Peter David is.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm like, you're almost there. You're almost there. What you should do is completely ignore the comics unless someone gets them out of the park.
Right. Let them just cook.
Because everything you're doing now is based on other people being able to just cook.
Right. Well, the era that they seem fixated on, it was what, mid 70s to mid 80s. That's where everything's sort of being lifted out. Right. Is a period of time where eyes were not on it. Like the vast majority of eyes were not on comics. Right. We're all geeks in our little hobby, and leave us alone. We're fine. And that's where all these great stories came from. That's where all of these great stories came from, because those people with no money, no spotlight, all they had was let's make some kick-ass stories.
Exactly.
And you don't have that now. Everyone's very precious. It's very, very tight. I can't tell you the number of things that were said no. It's not throwing anybody under the bus. It isn't editorial's fault. It isn't even senior editorial's fault. There's just so many avenues
that are completely shut off.
And
there's kind of no way around it, because maybe we're going to do something in the movies. Maybe we've got a TV show in development.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that character? Because we got this whole second thing going on in the new Deadpool movie that we can't even tell you what it is.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's gotten a lot. I mean, it used to be very much the Wild West when it comes to, just make something for making its sake. I imagine, and I don't know this to be true, but I imagine over at DC, because Gunn likes it and wants to play in it, that you'll see a little bit more freedom. You see a little bit more like, just don't kill the following characters, or like that. That's fine with it.
Exactly that.
Or don't make them into a don't turn, don't ruin the morality of the following characters.
Well, here's something backstagey. I've worked at both companies in their animation sides. And I will say this, that the Marvel side
was kind of like, it's not this aggressive, but we don't want to hear about it. Like you, comic book geek Jeff, you have an encyclopedic knowledge of our company's characters' history. Yeah, that's great. We don't need to hear all that. Whereas the
Warner side,
the comic book guys can veto things
that are going to happen in comics. They'll be like in the shows, they're like, no, can't do that. No, you can't use that character because blah 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 blah. It's sometimes it's arbitrary, but they have a veto power that the Marvel guys do not. They do not have that relationship.
Interesting.
And it's fascinating from the point of view of a person who's doing what I think of as the ancillary material. That the movies and the TV shows are not the material. The comics are the material.
Yeah.
But so just that difference, you can see the difference in the output. Marvel thinks of itself, I think, just temperamentally as a kind of imperial. Like, we're going to do what we're going to do. The White Tower, we are the White Tower. Kevin Feige is Sauron. Well, maybe not Sauron. Let's say Gandalf the White and be better. And
over here, we've got this sort of weird conglomeration of hippies, Asian hippies that are like,
go do your thing. Go do your thing.
Right.
Go do your thing. And the Warner's filming, the way Warner's as a film company traditionally had worked also was less top down, which is why you have such a discrepancy between
Tim Burton's Batman and Superman. The earlier, like they don't exist in the same universe at all.
Right.
So I don't know that Marvel's ever going to change this,
but that would fix it. Just let them cook. Don't pay attention.
I agree. I'm with you, man. I hear you. I know you have a
hard out in 7 minutes.
Yes. I am going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to wrap things up just so we can get back to the show. But I thank you so much for being here. It is such a pleasure, such an honor to have you, sir, and to finally get a chance to face to face. This is such a delight,
guys. I love you guys, Ethan and Ben. I love them. I love all of you guys. You keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
I'm honored to be here.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure, man. Have a good one. We'll see you in the funny books. Thanks, man.
Peace.
Take care.